Good morning and welcome to the June 6th meeting of the Lacey Community Relations and Public Affairs Committee. Can I have a motion to approve our agenda for today?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second?
All
Any
in
discussion?
favor?
All in favor? Say aye.
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 That was a tough one.
Yeah, that was a real hard one. First up on our agenda today is an update on our July 3rd fireworks spectacular with Alish. Are you ready?
I'm ready. It's a little bit more than just the fireworks.
Oh.
We kind of put together. Hold on one second. We're gonna share. We're gonna share real quick.
Okay. Well, I see you're up for two things as well. The summer.
You like to talk a lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you. All right. We kind of looked at it for all of our programs coming. So we've got starting off with the fireworks are gonna be back at Rainier Vista. Everybody's very excited about that. We've got a lot of great activities going. We've got the blow up still coming back, a lot of food vendors, some different bands happening. Want to thank Twin Star and Interstate Batteries for their support. We will have a band at 5 o'clock, and then we'll have the Beach Boys band will do a tribute at 8. And then the
Sweet.
fireworks are going to be at 10. We are working with the school district for transportation, being able to bring people to and from the park on buses and putting them drop off at the various schools. So people aren't having to carry, and they'll be going every 15 minutes. So that's going to be kind of exciting and kind of nice to try to get rid of some of that traffic issues that we've had over the last few years. Some of the other things we have going this summer is Jeanette has her Lacey and Tune is back at Hunter. We've got the Children's Entertaining Series, which is on Tuesday nights for those who aren't familiar with it. And we do a noon concert on Wednesdays. And on Fridays, there's 4 different Fridays, they do a movie and a band. We also will be having our Thursday events, which we set those up to kind of go around the different parks that we don't normally have activities at. So there'll be some at Meridian. We're going to have 2 different ones at the Depot and at Wonderwood Community Park. We've got a couple, and those will be 2 o'clock on Thursdays for those different events. So there'll be different games and different activities and different stuff going on. So it's really great for the community, I think. Some of the other things we have going, we just wanted to touch off our little deals. We have Lacey Little T-Ball starting up. We've got almost 300 kids that are signed up so far for that. We also have various sports sprouts and summer Skyhawks camps for the kids. So there's a lot of activities going on there. We are finally bringing back our hikes. We've had to have those on kind of a hiatus for the last few years, but we're now able to bring those back. And so we've got 3 or 4 that are beginning going late this summer. And always we have our summer day camp, which is pretty almost full at both sites. We have day camp and we have the playground pals. We had the luxury of, we have support from North Thurston Public Schools. They are giving us money to help support the summer day camp program as well as the playground pals. And Cody applied for a SEEK grant through AWC.
AWC and WRPA.
And we received additional funds for that. So he did a great job of securing some extra dollars. So that's going to be really great for the kids. We're finally going to be able to go on some field trips and stuff this year too, which we also have not been able to do in the last few years. Swimming lessons are back. We will be doing lessons. They were doing it too.
It's a cute picture.
They'll be on the afternoons from I think 12 to 4:30, and then she also has Sunday lessons going on. And just a little snippet of, all the training and everything that goes into being able to bring these summer programs at the pools and year-round programs, all the extra work that they have to go to. So they'll be heading that up here shortly as well.
That's a good question. Yes. Oh,
Right there, questions.
Perfect timing.
Yes.
So lifeguards, how are we doing on lifeguards?
We're not doing really well on lifeguards. We're not doing really well on anything.
Okay.
Staff wise, it seems to be, even the community center, we've got spots open. We're not getting anybody.
Not feeling them.
We tried to do it.
Day camp's been okay.
Day camp is probably the only one that's
Okay.
done decent, and a lot of that is because he has had a lot of returning staff that's coming back this summer. So He's gonna be doing okay. That's why we're only doing lessons for a small portion of time instead of where it used to have been all morning sessions and afternoon, evening sessions. We just don't have the staff to do it. And they had to minimize either they did lessons in the evenings and there would be no aqua aerobics or no, I mean, they can only be one place at one time.
So are we posting that on our social media that we're looking for volunteers? I'm sure.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I'll look that up later today and I'll do my
It's
part.
just
to kinda
basically a
share that.
struggle. We tried to have a 5-month, 40-hour position.
Mhm.
It's $19 an hour, similar to a seasonal position to help us get through because we're interviewing for 2 new coordinators tomorrow. And we have 2 out on maternity leave, so we've been short staffed, but we had 1 person apply for that position and they had 0 experience in anything.
Wow.
That is all we had.
So the Wall Street Journal recently talked about the end of the summer job.
Mm.
And they mentioned some bigger cities are paying $2,500 signing bonuses for lifeguards.
Oh, my gosh. That's
Because
crazy.
to your point, they just cannot get that unique individual that wants to be a lifeguard. Because there's other opportunities that pay just as well with maybe not all the requirements and really the responsibility of being a lifeguard.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's a national issue.
National
We're not-
issue.
We're not alone.
Not
but
alone.
It doesn't make
No,
it any easier
and
to
we
deal
bring
with.
people in and basically pay for them to get their not basically, we do pay for them to get their lifeguarding certification.
Mhm.
We pay the hours of the course and then we run the course and we still can't get people.
Wow.
So,
Amazing.
so any other questions anybody might have?
But just that's a good question. So obviously we're not going to be in a posture again with the Long Lake Swim Beach to have
Correct.
lifeguards. So this will be the 3rd summer in a row now.
Mm.
I mean, I think we're challenged enough just trying to do swim lessons for the community.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can't, there's no way we'd be able to staff that.
Wow.
And I don't see that changing unless something dramatically changes with the workforce. Because we just can't get anybody with the type of experience that you need. You can't just train them and then throw them out at the lake. It's a lot different than a pool where you've got some other things going.
Right, right. Interesting.
So Sue,
That's all I got.
did you kind of blend the 2 reports? The
Well,
fireworks clear
My
and-
understanding was we were doing on summer events, summer things that were happening, activities, so
Okay.
and I guess it kind of got blended.
So you took care of the 2 agenda items there. I guess I have a couple of quick questions. One is on the lifeguard issue. Are we gonna do public notice again this year? And I know we had sign postings and stuff about there aren't lifeguards, but are we going to be making sure the public is aware that that service won't be provided?
Yeah, we'll make sure that that gets out. No different than we have the last few years.
Okay, great.
Do we not
And-
have signs out on the beach?
There is signs out on the beach. Yeah.
Yeah,
And taking
And-
out the reed dock and some of those other things made it a little bit more palatable. It's a lot safer now to not have lifeguards than it was when we had the dock and some other issues out there.
right. Well, good. And then my other question, I don't want this to sound negative, but with staff shortages, do you anticipate that there could be some compromise in quality of the summer programs? And, if it does start getting kind of tough, or do we have like a plan B to maybe cut back a little bit in order to staff?
And that's kind of why we're in the position, and I'll use swim lessons again as an example. They're only doing them from noon to 4:30. And
Right,
usually there would be morning, so we have shrunken things down dramatically. Just to
Okay.
accommodate for the lack of staff. The only program that has not been cut back and is growing is day camp, and that is the only one that hasn't have any staff issues.
right. Okay,
So we're working on
Thanks.
it, but yeah, it's
yeah.
a process.
I heard you say it about the swim, but I didn't realize that was kind of across the board that you were shrinking back a little bit. Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Sue? Okay, if not, let's move on to the Juneteenth event and our flag.
Well, good morning, council members.
Morning.
A point of privilege here to actually introduce one of our newest staff members in the city manager's office. And joining us today is our new management analyst. This is Rafael Fernandez. Raphael is going to be helping support, the Commission on Equity, the Lacey Youth Council, in addition to doing a variety of other analysis for the city. Raphael comes from the U.S. Army, where he had a 20+ year career in the Army. Got some strong opinions here. Raphael, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Yes, just as Shannon alluded to, I'm just completing a 20-year military career. I've actually been living here in the city of Lacey since the spring of 2013 with my family.
Great.
And once we came here, we knew this was where home wanted to be. And so we did everything we could up to this point to make this our home. So yes, wrapping up my military career, and I'm very eager and looking forward to get started fulfilling this position as the management analyst for the city manager.
Great. Well, with that, I will jump into our Juneteenth presentation. So the Commission on Equity has been working for the last several months on organizing a Juneteenth celebration in collaboration with the Fred U. Harris Lodge, which I'll get into a little bit more information. But what you're seeing here right now on the cover is actually going to be the banner that is going to be flying over College Street next week, advertising the Juneteenth event, and that'll go through the week into Juneteenth. So just a little bit of background, given that the Commission on Equity is one of our newest advisory bodies for the council. The commission is tasked with identifying and advancing opportunities that create a more welcoming community, continuing critical conversations on race and equity, seeking greater participation from underrepresented community members, and identifying existing gaps and barriers that could prevent full participation in government as well as public policy. You can see some of our commissioners here at the Lacey Cultural Celebration. We had a booth there, and they're going to have a booth as well at the Juneteenth event that's upcoming. But just to provide some background on how the Juneteenth event started, was we actually got a request from a community member to look into hosting a Juneteenth event. And from that, we learned that there was a very successful existing event that had been going on in the community for over 40 years. This is actually their 41st year holding this celebration. And they've held the last 11 at our RAC. Prior to that, they had been holding them at various different public parks throughout Thurston County, for example, Miller-Sylvania Park, Priest Point, etc. But they've settled on the RAC. They really enjoy being at the RAC, and they're really excited that the city was interested in being a collaborator with them rather than creating a whole new event for Juneteenth. So the Fred U. Harris Lodge has been hosting that event, and they've been, building on it year after year. They've seen an increase in the number of people attending the event. They really like it being at the RAC, not only because of the great facilities and the great park staff, but also because they recognize that there are other activities that are ongoing at the RAC that can attract people over to their barbecue, and then they get the opportunity to provide information on what Juneteenth is. So for example, we will be holding the celebration on the Saturday of the 18th. And there is, I believe, softball tournaments confirmed to be there in addition to potentially some other tournaments as well. And so all of the individuals who show up at the RAC are invited to participate at the Juneteenth celebration. So the Commission on Equity agreed that this would be something that was worth looking into back late last 2021, and they incorporated it into the 2022 work plan. And they really focused on, again, wanting to be a collaborator, not starting a new event for the city, but really working with the community to augment and enhance the existing celebration that has been, again, successfully occurring for the last 40 years. So just some background history on Juneteenth, provided some key dates here on this slide. So you can see January 1st, 1863, President Lincoln announced the Emancipation Proclamation, and this freed enslaved people in areas engaged in rebellion against the Union. Slavery remained entrenched throughout the South, and as the Union Army advanced, it enforced the Emancipation Proclamation. General Robert E. Lee surrendered to the Union Army in April 9th of 1865, and you can see that almost a 2-year period since the Emancipation Proclamation at that point in time. And then you notice another 3 months after that, in June 19th, Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, where slavery had still continued to be deeply entrenched, and freed all of the remaining enslaved people in the state of Texas. And this is where Juneteenth comes from, being June and 19th. And you can see that set the stage for December 6th, 1865, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished slavery in the United States. From that point on, 1866, Juneteenth became a celebration starting in Texas and then spread across the United States. In 1980, Texas made Juneteenth an official holiday. Last year, Juneteenth became an official Washington state holiday as well as a federal holiday.
That's amazing, the time lapse between 1980 and last year. I mean, it's such an important reason to celebrate. I'm just surprised that it's taken this long to become a federal holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, presents a really good opportunity too, for education. This has been a celebration that has been going on since 1866 and,
Right.
Starting in Texas, but certainly, it provides us a good opportunity to say, here's the history and here's why we continue to celebrate it. One of the major things to point out about the history and the timeline that I just went over is that from the period of the Emancipation Proclamation to when Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, was almost 2.5 years later. So just a kind of a key thing to point out in that history. So as I mentioned previously, the city is working with the Fred U. Harris Lodge, and by design, we want to be collaborators. And one of the things that we have found in conversations with the lodge that we can really be helpful is getting information and word out to the community on the event, as well as helping with some logistical items at the event itself. So I stand corrected when I made the statement earlier in my presentation that was the banner that was flying over College. What you're seeing actually here is the banner, which provides the date of the event as well as the location and the time. So that will be the banner that is flying over College Street. In addition to that, we do have an event space on our website that includes, the event details, Juneteenth history, which is what I just went over, and then also some history on Black History Month. As you all recall, Hank Shegog provided the Black History Month presentation, and he is also involved in the Fred U. Harris Lodge. So that information is there, and he'll be a part of the celebration that's coming up. In the right-hand corner, you can see the "You're Invited." This was an invitation that has gone out on multiple platforms. We've sent this on our email notification lists. We have provided this in the Lacey Life. We have provided it in the Parks e-newsletter. And we've also sent this out to a bunch of community entities that the city frequently works with. So we've been highly promoting that there's going to be a free barbecue lunch with games, entertainment, presentations, and really time to connect with members of the community. Leading up to the event and at the event also. So leading up to the event, we're going to have the proclamation for Juneteenth. This is an example of the proclamation that was read last year by the Lacey City Council, and we intend at the meeting prior to Juneteenth to have the proclamation presented then as well. The city is also working on a flyer here. You can see on the left-hand side. And the flyer, you're going to find information on the event itself, the history of Juneteenth, and also, who the speakers are and some songs that will be sung during the event. In addition to that, I know the public affairs team has done a really excellent job in coordinating marketing and outreach materials. And one thing that they've done for this event is they have recorded kind of a brief 60-second invitation that we'll be pushing out on our social media platforms as well as our website, again, inviting the community to come attend this event, enjoy the free barbecue, and enjoy free haircuts as well, which are being introduced to the event for the first time. Yes, free haircuts for adults, children. So come get a free haircut. Just a preview of the program itself. The program is going to begin at 12 p.m. and the Master of Ceremonies is going to be Lester Dixon. We're going to have a welcome, a prayer, a pledge of allegiance, and again, like I mentioned, a song. We're going to sing Lift Every Voice and Sing. Hank Shigog is going to provide that Juneteenth history. And then we're going to have guest speakers, our Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland, Lacey Mayor Andy Ryder, our Commission on Equity Chair Thelma Jackson, and then also the Tumwater Mayor Debbie Sullivan. And then closing remarks will be provided by Gilbert McClary of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge.
Sorry, I'm gonna miss it.
So it will be held at the rack. And what I've done on this slide is I've highlighted the area that's the Juneteenth celebration will be at. You can see shelter C, and I'll put my cursor right here. This is shelter C. And we'll have stage set up right here, and then all of the barbecuing will occur around this area and the free haircuts over on this side of the bathroom at the rack. So that leads to the second part of this presentation, which is on the Juneteenth flag. As part of the conversation on the Juneteenth event and the collaboration with the Fred U. Harris Lodge, it had come up in conversation an interest in flying the Juneteenth flag and providing an example of what the Juneteenth flag looks here on this slide. And the recommendation from the Commission on Equity after conversation is to display the Juneteenth flag at the rack and or City Hall on the weekend of the event, which is on the 16th, and then also on Juneteenth, which is the Sunday. Provided, you can see that star, there's a little bit of an asterisk there, provided that we can actually procure a flag. We have checked in with several of our vendors and the flags are several weeks out, so we're not really sure that that's an opportunity. But the Commission on Equity would like, the council to consider flying that flag, and then also to consider in the future taking a look at the flag policy to see if there are ways to incorporate flying this in the future.
Can you send me the specs, the official specs of that flag? Can you email those to me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. We can send you the flags. And just to give you a little background on the flags too, you can see, like I said, the example here, this was really led by Ben Haight, the founder of the National Juneteenth Celebration Foundation, working with Lisa Janae Graff. And you can see that the flag itself has meanings incorporated into it, the white star being the Star of Texas, which was that last enslaved area, the burst being a new beginning for African Americans in the United States, the red arc being new opportunities for Black and African Americans on the horizon, and then the red, white, and blue representing the American flag. And also a reminder that slave descendants live in the United States. So the recommendation from the Commission on Equity again is, if possible, if we can get our hands on that flag, to be able to fly it this weekend, and then if not, to take a look at the flag policy for incorporation in future years. So I just wanted to provide kind of a reminder on what the existing flag policy is for the council, and you can find this in the Lacey City Council Policy and Procedure Manual, Section 512, Flag Policy. And the flag policy, I've highlighted the red box here, because it specifically states that to fly another flag in place of the city flag, it has to be a decision that is made and approved by the majority of the council at a full regular council meeting. And that this decision can be made, for a specific period of time, like the recommended for the 18th and the 19th, or it could be made to fly it on a reoccurring annual basis, which would then be something that we'd want to take a look at incorporating into the flag policy moving forward. So for the Commission on Equity's recommendation for flying the flag, it would need an action at the council meeting. And so if this is something that this committee would like to pass on to the full Lacey City Council to consider, we would need to do that at the next regular council meeting or at the work session if the council wanted to do that. But the next regular scheduled council meeting is on June 16th. So the council could take action to display that at that time. Again, that is provided that we could find that flag for that period of time.
Shannon, can I ask you a quick question? Do we have a cart and horse situation where council needs to approve it before we can acquire it?
So, Councilmember Cox, it would be helpful if, under the direction of the council, we could get it approved so we could, move forward with the flag.
You
Okay.
could acquire the flag, but needing the council's decision on hoisting the flag.
Correct.
Yeah, so
Correct.
it's not a cart before the horse. They're trying to acquire, if I heard you correctly, trying to acquire that particular flag. But it's on back order and it's not readily available from manufacturers who are creating the flag. But
But
we
if-
could still acquire the flag, but the council's gonna have to decide to raise the flag.
Correct. Thank you, Councilmember Kunkel. That is exactly, what is occurring, is that we could purchase the flag, again, the flag being back ordered, but in order to fly it on the existing flag poles at City Hall or any other location in the city, we would need council approval.
Well, would
We
we
could
have,
re-
would
go
we
ahead.
have enough for the flag other than flying it on the flagpole?
Councilmember Cox, I missed the first part of your question.
Sorry. Would we have another use for the flag besides running it up the flagpole? I may be missing something, but what would be the point in purchasing the flag if we couldn't fly it?
So, Councilmember, we could always hang the flag at the event itself, just not on a city flag pole,
Gotcha.
provided
Alright.
the council decided, if that was the case, that the council decided not to move forward with, officially displaying it.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. I was just trying to make sure that there would be another use for it if we did it. So I'm kind of feeling like I'd like to advance this to the work session and have a decision then, because the 16th just feels too
Yeah,
close.
it's just around the corner. Yeah,
to the
I
people
would agree. I would agree. We move this forward to the work session and see if we can have it approved and move forward.
Great, we can certainly work to get an amended agenda for that work session.
Okay. And is that an expense the council would need to approve, or is that a discretionary one that you all can just do?
Discretionary.
Councilmember Cox, that is certainly a discretionary, and certainly, the council has approved funding for the Commission on Equity, and certainly something that we could look into is where funds are coming from.
Good. So that would seem to take another argument from having to do it. Great. Well, this sounds exciting. Any other questions for Shannon? Comments about the event? I guess I have one question. Since we have tournaments out there, what is the parking situation likely to be?
Tough. That's a great question.
That is a great question, Councilmember Cox. And, in the past, in conversations with the Fred U. Harris Lodge, they have had crowds of around, and this is over again, a 4-hour period of time. And many of the event goers are people who are participating in the tournaments, but they've had crowds of around 400 to 500 individuals. I know, with us getting the word out, we can rest assured that there's probably going to be a sizable increase in that. So they are preparing for around 1,000 individuals. But not everybody is going to show up to the event all at once. The event is from 12 to 4. The program does run from about 12 to 12:30, 12:45, but they'll continue to provide barbecue, entertainment, and games until 4 p.m. So, I think I heard from Sue and Jen, tough is probably the best word to describe it.
We do have some options that we could look at opening up. We do have an agreement with the school district, so that Bucknell area, we could, if we feel we need to, we could look at opening that up for additional parking.
Overflow, okay. So probably not enough to warrant getting school buses or other satellite parking.
Councilmember Cox, this is our first year really collaborating with this event, and I think it's going to be something that we will learn a lot of best practices and things that we might want to change in the future. So at this point, I'd say we certainly just want to see how the first year goes and then make changes after that.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I think if we prominently advertise free food and free haircuts. You're going to see a lot of people there.
Agreed.
Yeah, even if they're not there for the spirit of the event, but yeah, let's hope it's a big success. All righty. Well, is there any other business for us to discuss? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Shannon and Sue and